some level, there's no intermediary.
I
At
could
some
never have
level,
knowledge. I'm saying you don't even have knowledge. I don't care about what you say you think is knowledge.
I have knowledge.
I acknowledge. No, you can say that you know. Capital K
I do know.
this shit, bro. I'll tell you. I don't think anybody knows anything. And if you tell me, oh, I haven't.
Do you know that?
No, you can say I think I'm.
Do you know that? Do you know that anybody doesn't know anything?
Sure. Yes, my credence in the Earth being a sphere is very high. Credence, I would say. These is Bayesian epistemological language.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Slogans are great. But anyway, okay, I do know. You can't tell me what I do. Yeah, I do because I
how
can
do
see
you
it.
know? How do you know that fucking you're not in a fucking white padded room right now, fucking talking to yourself? How do you know?
Because
I don't give a shit what you think that you know.
Because the converse leads to a contradiction and makes it not possible.
The converse leads to a contradiction.
Yeah, because the opposite leads to a contradiction. Now, let's say I say this statement. I only know for sure with a 99.99999% certainty that I'm not a fucking brain in a jar. And that I can't actually know anything because I can't prove the external world exists. Well, if I do the converse, do I actually know that I don't know? Because I'm making a statement that I can't know something, right? That I don't know something. Well, do I know that? Do I know that thing? Do I know that I don't know? That leads to a contradiction. So that entire worldview is untenable because it has a contradiction buried right in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say what I'm saying is I don't know. I know that I. You can say I know that I don't. I don't try to know.
Do you know that you don't know?
I try to increase.
Well, you're making a statement that you don't know something, right? Do you know that you don't know?
I don't care. That's completely.
No, I don't care. That's funny.
I mean, that's a silly question.
I don't care.
No, it's a perfect question. Because it slices right through the fucking synopsis garbage. The brain rot.
Where it all boils down to belief, right?
No. I don't have.
Right, it does. Because if you don't know what you know, or if you know what you don't know, it all boils down to belief. I believe that what they're showing me with these satellites is real, right?
Good for you. What's your point, dude? Everything you said was incoherent gibberish.
Well, no, but it's just your nonsense with the, if you don't know what you don't know. You know.
I didn't say that. You straw man what I said. Why don't you steel man what I said? Why don't you actually just say what I said verbatim, word for word?
Yeah, you did not just ask him if he didn't know.
Yeah, okay, you sober up, dude. Moving on. What I said was, does he know that he doesn't know?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I'll say I know that.
And it's with that, no, like, are you 99.99999% certainty you don't know? Because if you apply that knowledge claim to a claim of not having knowledge, it ends up being a contradiction, and that worldview becomes untenable. Because you can't even argue against the law of non-contradiction, because you would need to use the law of non-contradiction to argue against it.
No, again, I don't really think that this is a good point, what you're making right now. I could just say, I don't know. I don't even try. The only point is that we do know things. I'm not even, it's not that I know that I don't know. I don't know that I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying I know that I don't know, in which case I know that I don't know. I thought I didn't know, but now I know. That's the contradiction. I'm saying I don't know if I know or I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know shit. That's what my point is. There's no contradiction there. I'm just saying I'm trying on the basis of just statistical inference to get things correct. and that is
the best. Appeal to probability is a logical fallacy, right?
You said what?
Appeal to probability is a logical fallacy.
Again, this is the same thing with this nonsense about. Sorry, I was sipping.
When you start appealing to statistics, you're appealing to probabilities, right?
So,
we can't, listen, it's a common thing we go through in this chat. We start talking about the globe. It always devolves, not always, but a lot of the times it devolves into, well, I can't actually know anything. and nobody can know anything, and it's all just, we could all be brains in a jar, and we could all be schizophrenics or high on fucking ayahuasca, and this is just a big hallucination, because you can't prove otherwise. Okay, we go through this a lot, okay? It's not personal to you. That thinking is postmodern fucking brain rot. Okay?
No.
We do know things.
Bro,
we do know things.
The
you know that you ate.
Someone,
you know if you've eaten. Listen, bro.
You need to hold up.
You do know absolutely.
The audacity.
No, I'll say one thing. Listen, let me finish. You do know 100% that you've eaten in the last year. You know that. To deny that is just stupid. Okay? Otherwise, you are a perpetual motion machine. Or you're not made of matter, and this is a group hallucination. And right now, you'd be arguing with yourself.
Yeah. I'm saying I have with very high probability credence. My credence is exceedingly high that I have eaten in the last year. But I might be on. I fucking.
Oh.
I might.
You're trying to run from reality, dude. It's really sad. You're like, I don't want everything to be real. I want to leave the sliver of doubt.
Bro, first of all, okay, you're trying to say I'm running from reality. I just have to say this point. It is so rich for someone who denies that the Earth is a sphere to complain about postmodernists, bro. You didn't even make it to modernism, bro. You didn't even graduate to postmodernism. You didn't
make
even
it
get
to 322, bro.
Dude, you've already admitted that you have no primary knowledge that the Earth is a sphere. Though I have primary knowledge that the Earth is flat.
Dude, you can observe ships disappearing over the horizon.
I've never
take a
seen
shadow from a pylon and live stream it from 2 points in the Earth. Give me a model, man. Look, what's your model?
Listen, you're just gonna gish gallop and just throw shit against the wall. A model of what?
What model do you guys have?
A model of what exactly?
The sun, the Earth.
Oh, okay, we got that. Hold on. He has to start.
Is there a wall of ice?
Dude, hold on. Okay, yes.
Give me a second.
Yeah, you gonna let me answer? You gonna let me answer?
Of course.
Okay, the model of sun. Equation of time. Go look it up.
Equation of time? That's the name.
Yeah, the equation of time. It's how the sun is predicted. Like when you go on Time and Date or the U.S. Naval Observatory, and you look up when's the sun gonna rise, when's the sun gonna set, how high is it gonna be in the sky at fucking 10 a.m. Hold on, dude. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Chill, dude. Sorry.
No, shut up. You're trying to interrupt me. I ain't having it.
That's not the model I'm talking about.
So that model is not a gold model. Okay. The model to predict the sun right now does not use a gold model.
All right, I'm just asking for a physical model. A physical representation.
A physical model?
A physical model, meaning not...
A physical model?
Yes, a physical model that you guys use to predict the motion of, the sun, the moon.
Nobody has that. What are you talking about?
Well, the globus, or whatever you call them, have.
You have a physical model.
Yes, you do have a model.
I just told you how it's predicted, and it doesn't use a globe. Did you not listen to me?
What you gave is an equation. You don't have a model, though. That's the problem with flat Earth.
No,
you guys don't have a working model.
There is no model. There is no goal.
That's what I just said. You guys don't have a model.
No, you don't have a model. And I just told you that. We do have a model.
We do have a model and it works.
Post it in the chat. Post the gold model for the sun in the chat that I can predict. I want to predict where the sun will rise in Nairobi, Kenya, on October 4th.
Yeah, 1 second.
I want to know the sunrise time.
He be Googling that shit.
Yeah, I know. It'd just be fun watching you crash and burn, dude. Dude, you just got to this topic, man.
I'm putting in a model for you. What's the big deal?
Yeah, post in the chat. Go ahead.
All right.
I want the gold model for the sunrise.
Okay.
You know what you're going to post? You're going to post the equation of time. The model I talked about, which is not a globe model.
Okay. All right. Whatever you say, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be hilarious, dude.
Images. All right.
You're going to post. Why do you need an image, dude? I want a model. Images aren't models.
Yes, the physical. Yeah, I'm posting an image of a model. Yeah, my bad. I can't teleport
of the sun.
Of the sun, the earth.
How do I know which way How do I know what time the sun rises from a physical model?
By observing it.
From the surface of the model.
Seeing it. Yeah, you
from the surface of the model.
The surface of the model. You can use a video representation of the model if you want to see it move. But yeah, you can use that model.
No, I don't want a video.
You can predict. You can predict the seasons. You can predict the day and night.
Okay.
You can predict the angle of the sun to the earth at different various points. You can observe this. Yeah,
that's a cool story. That's not a model. Nothing you just posted is a model, dude. Nothing you posted is a fucking model, dude.
Yeah,
try again, loser.
Anyways, you can.
How do I predict the sunrise time with what you posted? October 4th, Nairobi, Kenya.
Can you
October 4th, Nairobi, Kenya. And what time's the sunrise? How do I predict it using what you posted?
Okay, so again, you're interrupting me. So I'm going to finish saying what I'm going to say.
Yeah, again,
you're going to answer the question in 5 seconds, or you're going to get shut up.
No, I'm not, because
You are. You're going to answer, shut up. You said you're going to post a gold model. You asked for me, hey, can the flat earth predict? You can't predict the sunrise. I said, yeah, we can. Here it is. Oh, those are just equations. I want a physical model. I said, okay, dude, post your physical model that predicts the sunrise. And now you're not going to do that. You're going to say what you want to say. Fuck off.
Hey, Indio, real quick, I just want to, what's up, brother? This guy was on before. He was like saying he was tearing up over this guy that he posted. What was his name? That had the kinematics. He was talking about the Kepler stuff. Yeah. And it's all the kinematics. This guy needs to know the difference between kinematics and dynamics. Do you know the difference, bro?
Do I? Yes.
You do? Okay. So you realize that the guy that you posted, he's just kinematics, right?
Yeah, he didn't talk about gravity necessarily. He talked about
he didn't talk about forces. Do you know what? You know what the
gravity being a force. Yes, dynamics being about.
Tell us right now, real quick.
He never talked about that.
Hey, brother, real quick. I sent you a DM. Did you see the DM I sent you? This is new perspective.
I'm checking now because I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm checking. Yes, I see.
Yeah, and I sent you the thing about Kepler's orbits.
I see it, yeah.
Kinematics. Tell us the difference between kinematics and dynamics.
Well, I mean, real quick. I mean, I haven't read this, but kinematics is just describing how things move.
Whatever you know.
Just kinematics is describing how things move, and dynamics is calculating the forces on them and predicting how they will move by when. Kinematics is kind of. You can do kinematics after you've done the dynamics to figure out what the forces are and therefore what the acceleration is, and then you can figure out what the motion will be.
That'd be preferable. But real quick, let me just tell you that the kinematics is just the description through math, right? Like you could describe a lot of things through math, and you can make anything happen through math, right? If you had to reverse engineer something, you could mathematically show how it would work if you have a postdiction first. Right, and then you go back and fill in the math how it would have to work to get to that point. Do you understand that?
I mean, you couldn't make anything work, but you could. There would be some latitude for you to make things work. Yeah.
Well, a lot, right? They could do They could do all kinds of stuff with math, right? But the dynamics of the forces. That means that's a working model. A working model has to have the forces and the masses all in there working. You understand that?
Well, I don't think you need to, on the basis of what we had discussed previously, I don't think that dynamics was particularly necessary to make most of the jumps, that most of the kind of conclusions that were being explored. Like, if you're just if you're saying, okay, well, the motion is somewhat uniform. Now, of course, the motion is not uniform. Like not only, in that, in the calculation, in the assumptions of like how far away the Earth is, or like, trying to figure out like this kind of model of the Earth being a sphere and everything. Like, you're going to have to assume that distances are not only that there are distances from Earth to other, like the moon, for example, or that the Earth is a sphere. It's actually not a perfect sphere. It's an oblate spheroid, and the orbits aren't perfect circles. They're ellipses, and the light rays aren't perfectly parallel. They're slightly divergent, perhaps, but minimally so. But you make these assumptions because it's and therefore you're obscuring the dynamics. You're not getting you're not going to get, but you're still you're making an approximate assumption, which is an approximation. I mean, and it's not perfect, it's not exact. Like, again, the Earth isn't perfectly spherical. Our orbits aren't perfectly circular. But, like, nonetheless, you make these assumptions and you see, okay, well, we're getting the numbers are coming out pretty damn fucking close. I'm sorry, someone's
No, hold on. Stop for a sec. Okay, like you said a couple words there that made sense. You try to go back on one of them. You said you're jumping, right? Or you're assuming, right? So that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is you have to assume and jump, and you have to start with your conclusion and work your way backwards mathematically.
It wasn't. I mean, it's not even really it's actually interesting, right? I mean,
it is interesting. It's brilliant. It's amazing.
No, you're saying you're starting with the conclusion. The conclusion isn't that the Earth is spherical. The Earth is spherical was already a conclusion that predates Eratosthenes. In fact, again, like I said,
that's what you were told. That's what we were all told. You realize? Wait, hold on. You realize we were all told that, right? We all grew up thinking like you do now, right? We used to believe what you believe now. You believe that. You understand that,
bro?
And Indio will school you on the mathematics and anything this guy Terrence Tao has to say, right? He will tear that guy apart. He will make you cry that you cried over his video, right? Indio will make you cry that you cried about Terrence Tao.
This is hilarious, bro. Terrence Tao is an international mathematics Olympiad gold medalist,
right?
And
Appeal to popular, right?
Preeminent mathematician.
Of course he is.
In the whole world.
But listen, wait, you can't talk over me. I have a point to make to you. And the reason I DM'd you is because I thought you might be honest with yourself at some point and understand that the reason this guy is put out there and he's got the fame he's got is he supports the narrative that they're lying to us about. And we can prove that to you. But you won't calm down enough. Wait, hold on. There's one question for you, which will either determine whether you should go on or not. If the Earth is not a sphere, would you want to know?
Yeah.
Okay, then shut the fuck up for a second and listen instead of talking over people like we don't know what you're talking about, and you've got all this knowledge coming in here crying over a cow video when it's put out there for you to cry over because it supports the narrative that we could prove to you is wrong. And you don't want to know. Unless you shut up and listen.
You can, okay.
You don't want to know. You're proving that you don't want to know, even though you said you did.
I go for it, bro. Go for it. I mean,
and the fact this guy is a Fields Medal, it makes it even worse, even more embarrassing.
But he literally, you guys.
Why don't you go? Hey, here's an idea. Go watch the video. Listen to everything he says, and then go fact check it. Did you do that part? No, you didn't.
Did I fact check that?
Go fact check it.
What does that even mean?
Fact check his historical.
But what does that mean?
Historical claims.
Oh, his historical claims. Fact check the historical.
Yeah, how all this shit was developed.
I took it as a math video, not a history video. So no, I didn't check the historical claims.
What math? He's telling a story about fucking Al Biruni going to the top of a fucking mountain. There ain't no math in that.
I don't think he mentioned Al Biruni in that.
That's going to be the video.
You don't know the context. That's why. Indio knows the context, and you don't.
Wait. Is this what is? I don't even know. That was not in the video. Al Biruni. I'm pretty sure
it's literally in the thumbnail, right up there. 3 brown, 1 blue, measuring the Earth with Terrence Tao. What he's showing is Al Biruni. Al Biruni measured from a flat baseline the height of a mountain, then went to the top of the mountain, assumed it was a sphere, and measured down to an apparent horizon. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that was not in the video. That was not part of the video. Like, so you're saying that's what it was?
The part I watched the video part of it, the part one.
I
watched part of it, and I stopped watching it because it was inaccurate.
Bro, there was no discussion.
Indio knows what he's talking about, bro. Listen, Indio knows what he's talking about, and you don't. He didn't mention Al-Biruni in the video, but the thing he's showing has the context that Indio knows that you don't.
Okay,
he's way more knowledgeable than you. You're acting like you know it all. You're acting like you know it all, and you're saying you want to know if it's not a sphere, but you're so you have to chill, dude.
If
you don't know, you don't know, and you don't want to know.
I have a question for you. If the Earth wasn't flat, would you want to know?
Absolutely, dude. That's why I've been working on this for 10 years, 5 hours at least a day straight.
That is so sad, Mike. I feel so bad.
You're assuming that's sad, right? Before you figure out if you do know or not. Now, if you found out we were right, then it would make sense, right?
No, he can just do nothing. Right? He can do nothing for 5 hours a day for 10 years and just be ignorant.
That's what he wants to do, but he says he wants to know if it's not a sphere. I don't believe it.
Could I be, the problem is why I can't believe, I would have so many subsequent questions, right? You can claim, oh, well, I have to throw away everything I've ever heard before because there's some kind of logical, of measuring the stars and the distance to the horizon, and it assumes it's a plane, and therefore you can't, you can't do local linear. We've just assumed it's flat from the beginning, and you have to just accept that from a first-hand experience, it's just flat or something like that.
You're rattling off things that you think we're going to say, which aren't even close to what any of us were going to say.
That is generally what you say. I've been here before.
No. You come in here with generalizations because you're happy to cling on to those. Because
my point is, can I say you have some kind of thing where it's like questioning the validity of theories, models, assumptions, observations that other people, and you can claim like some sort of.
I have something directly that if you were calm enough to walk through it,
I don't give a fuck.
If you were calm enough to walk through it instead of yelling over me because you don't want to know and you're trying to run away by yelling over people, and it's like you want to get kicked out of here instead of just chilling and figuring out if I'm right or not.
Me out, then you can do that, but.
No, I'm saying I don't want to kick you out. I'm saving you from getting. You're about to get kicked out before I came in here, right?
Okay, so you're going to kick me out. Okay, if you kick me out, then you kick me out.
You're yelling over people because you think you know already, and I promise you, you don't. And I can prove it to you in 5 minutes.
No, I don't give. I don't want you to. I don't want to give you 5 minutes.
Then you don't want to know. Fine. See ya. Bye. You said you wanted to know. I guess you don't. What happened?
The young fellow was just here to preach. No. He's given a 10-second cool off.
He's more worried about what his friends would say about him.
Yep. He'd be too embarrassed. But then, the funny thing is, if he found out we were right, he would have such an edge on all his friends, and he doesn't even realize that, right?
So, Shoal.
Yeah, and the best of all, he'd get rid of all his fake friends real quick.
Okay, so what I was
Shoal, another question. Another question for you, real quick. One more question for you, Shoal. If you found out the Earth is not a sphere in the next 5 minutes, right, or 10 or whatever, wouldn't that be the most interesting thing you could possibly find out today or maybe in your lifetime?
No. I would be much more interested in if we were living in a hologram on some kind of, 4-dimensional hyperspace. That would be far more interesting.
No, but what's interesting for us is we're looking into how they reverse engineered it, right? We're figuring out how they convinced people like you and us formerly that we lived on a spinning ball. That's interesting. How they were able to do that. It's fascinating. That's what keeps us interested, is how they were able to do it. And we figured a lot of that out. I can tell you 100%, we're not living on a spinning ball. And I can give you one reason that's right in your face, and it happens every second of the day.
All right, let's do it. What
planes, All right. I'm going to walk you through this, okay? When you jump up in the air, right, and you're enough familiar with some of the science, right, about the ball to probably walk through this, okay? I wonder if you can. When you jump up in the air, or if you go up in a helicopter and hover, right, the ball model says that the reason that the Earth doesn't move separately from you below is because you were on the ground and you retained the momentum. You conserve the momentum from being on the ground, right?
Sure.
So say you're at like a latitude that the ball is moving 500 miles an hour, because it tapers up to the equator at 1,000 miles an hour, down to zero at the poles. You familiar with that?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So if you were at a latitude where it's like 500 miles an hour and you jumped up in the air, well, the reason that you don't have the Earth moving separately from you below is they say because you were on the ground moving at 500 miles an hour with the ground, then you're still moving at 500 miles an hour when you get in the air. That's why you can land in the same spot that you jump from. Do you get that concept?
Yes.
Okay. You understand conserved momentum.
Angular momentum, yes.
You can call it angular momentum, whatever you want. It's a tangential velocity of 500 miles per hour at the latitude that you jumped from, or you went up in a helicopter, right?
Sure. Yep.
Now, the helicopter, or let's say it's a plane, is going to fly to the equator, right? Where the ground is now moving 1,000 miles an hour, right? And the plane is going to try to land on a landing strip that's now moving 1,000 miles an hour, but he only conserved 500 miles per hour conserved momentum. Where does the extra 500 come from?
So okay. So this person.
Oh, it's a plane, right? And all pilots are taught to treat the Earth as stationary. They don't ever worry about rotation or curvature or any of that. They just any pilot is taught is to fly and land as if, in quotes, the Earth is stationary and level. Just like all flight simulators use, they don't do any rotation. They don't have any kind of tangential velocity included in their flight simulators. But the pilot's going to land on the landing strip that's moving at 1,000 miles an hour as if it were stationary, meaning that the plane has to be rotating eastward at exactly 1,000 miles an hour or whatever the speed is that he's landing on the Earth at. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you understand he has to be in perfect sync? He has to be in perfect sync to treat the Earth as stationary. Perfect sync.
Yeah, I am thinking about this visually as at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, you got it. And he has to have an extra 500 miles per hour of that eastward vector, right? It has nothing to do with his forward motion because he could be randomly flying west-southwest against the spin, right, the whole time and get to the equator where the Earth is now moving twice as fast as where he took off from, right? He's going to land in a clearing. He has no destination. There's no math you can put into this because he's just randomly flying west-southwest against the spin. He's going to land in a clearing somewhere along the equator, and he's going to always be able to treat the Earth as stationary. Yet the fact of the matter is the plane would have to be going twice as fast eastward. That eastward vector has to have an extra 500 miles an hour tacked onto it. You have to explain where that comes from.
Well, I mean, when you say there's a lot of in terms of what you just said, like you're saying that they have to treat the way that they
always do.
land as well, I want to know like what the actual like what you're quoting. I'm assuming you're quoting something. I kind of want
to look into that. That's not even debatable.
I want to look into that
for now. Assume that I'm right for now. You can check it later, right? No. Assume that I'm right for now, but when you check it, you'll find out that pilots are only taught to just treat the Earth as stationary and fly as if it's stationary. They fly point to point
for a fact
as if the Earth is stationary.
Yeah. I know for a fact. First of all, you're saying that like I know for a fact that. Well, for one, that they calculate flight trajectories on the base. Like maybe you're saying the pilot, and I think maybe it's like air traffic control. Whoever's charting the course on this. Like I don't know. Like someone's doing that. Someone is incorporating that the Earth is spherical. I'm pretty damn sure. Like in terms of Like,
well, okay, let's say there wasn't somebody doing that. Would there be a problem?
Well, I mean, again, I'm trying to actually think about the situation involved because I don't know, like, if you're saying now I have to make the assumption if there was no one doing that. Okay, well, I mean, again,
Yeah, make that assumption because there isn't anybody doing that, right? You can look at somebody probably going to try to claim that they figure out the flight path according to the globe, but that doesn't even matter. Look in the chat, look in the text chat. I just put 2 GIFs in there that explain what I'm talking about, right? You're starting with a 500 mile per hour conserved momentum. You're flying to the equator where it's 1,000 miles an hour because it's faster ground speed, right? The ground is moving faster.
Yeah, yeah.
The plane has to be in
This is
perfect
what.
sync to treat the Earth as stationary. Now, whether it's true or not that the pilot always treats it as stationary doesn't matter. You can look into it. You'll find out I'm right about that. Now, if this is the scenario, right, where he's just treating it as stationary, where's the extra 500 come from?
I mean,
and if there was no way to account for that 500, would there be a problem with your globe? Planes land every minute of the day.
Again, I'm thinking about. I mean, obviously, this is like a flying object using turbines. So obviously, I'm trying to for one, I don't know where. Like you're saying, where does the energy come from? I don't. It could be from the giant turbines on the plane, but I don't. I have to. I'm thinking about the whole thing. Right now, I'm trying to think critically.
Okay. Now this is what I'll give you a couple of the different answers that I usually get with this argument. Because there is no answer to this, right? So people just randomly they guess at it because they don't know, because there isn't an answer, because pilots always treat the Earth as stationary. And the only way they could treat the Earth as stationary and flat is if it's actually fucking stationary and flat. Because there would be a difference in the ground that they're landing on compared to where they took off from. And the air moving the plane isn't going to do it. Air moving the plane is called a wind. Winds go in all directions, not just eastward. Right? And if he's going west-southwest against the spin, the plane's not made to fly backwards. And when he slows down to land, do you think the plane's going to have some jets on it, making it go backwards and sync with the Earth so he can treat the Earth as stationary when he lands? Planes aren't made to do that. The pilot's not even told that there's any kind of tangential gradient to worry about. He's just flying point to point and landing as if, in quotes, it's stationary. The only freaking way, in 5 minutes, I just proved to you the Earth is not a spinning ball.
No, you didn't really.
That's not. You may not know that I proved it to you, but I did. Right? Once you look into it, you'll find out I'm right. Then you'll find out later, like post afterwards, you'll find out I'm right, and you'll be like, shit, there's no answer to this.
No, that's not how a proof works. You can't. I understand like what you just said.
I know you don't think that, but I did prove it to you in 5 minutes, like I said, and then you'll go look into it, and you'll find out I did.
No, you did not.
Not according to you yet, because you haven't looked into it, of course. But everyone else here that knows what I'm talking about knows that I'm right and knows that you just got it proved to you.
You just don't know what the word prove means, apparently. But
it doesn't matter about the word proof. Tell me the answer. Where's the 500 miles per hour come from so we can land as if the Earth is stationary?
I mean,
how is a plane moving eastward and sync with the Earth an extra 500 miles an hour?
One of the issues that I have with you people, I mean,
don't go to you people. You're talking to me. Don't try to generalize and get out of it by saying, flat earthers are like this.
Is not meaning
just talk to me, bro. Just talk to me, bro. Just talk to me.
Okay, yes.
Don't worry about any kind of previous kind of assumptions, right? Get rid of your assumptions.
Yes, with what you just said, I have a suspicion, much like, and it does not meaningfully distinguish itself from previous conversations I've had with flat earthers, that's an ill-posed question. I'm not sure that is a well-posed question to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know if you're high, but you're stupid. If you think the Earth is flat, you're a retard.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, well, that really did a lot of good, right? Joe. These are your friends. The guy that comes in and says you're retarded, he's really smart, huh? He's smart to come in and say, you must be retarded because I was told, and like we all were, we all assumed it was stupid, right? But now there's a bunch of intelligent people that have figured it out, and you still don't want to know. You'd rather just assume we're wrong.
He has a suspicion that it's an ill-posed question.
Yeah, he'd rather think that and think about the fact that he has no answer. You have no answer.
Hope, dude. It's a ridiculous hope.
No, I have a suspicion. Well, I mean, many of your questions.
Check this out, Shoal. What you don't know.
I mean, I don't want to, again, you said, just talking to me, I treat you as an individual, and each of you as an individual. Yeah, totally fair. But many.
So what you don't know, Shoal.
Many flat earthers have asked me ill-posed questions before.
And it's fantastic.
It doesn't matter about other flat earthers, dude. You have no answer to this. Let me just say, like, can you do a hypothetical? Let's say I'm right that the plane would have to have an extra 500, and there was no way for it to get there. Just can you do hypothetical? That's a sign of intelligence. If you can just like take away all your assumptions and go, okay, if this guy's right, and there's no way for the plane to have an extra 500 miles per hour eastward tangential velocity, there's no force that does that, and you would crash the plane. Then you would have a problem, right? You can hypothetically understand that would be a problem, right?
I have a thought now. I thought about it. So, I mean, because the Earth will be spinning beneath you, and that there will be some discrepancy in that momentum that you inherit from the Earth. Like we discussed earlier, as a result of conserved momentum, as you move towards the equator and therefore a larger distance from the axis of rotation of the Earth, you would be falling behind, and that would be described by the Coriolis force, as if there were some fictitious force pushing you kind of in the other direction. And I'm assuming when they say when you say, okay, in a flight simulator, and I've done a flight simulator, you have to maintain your heading. And basically you fix on something in the distance and you say, I want to go to that. I mean, I'm just thinking, whatever they're doing, they're flying as if they will be deflected by a
Coriolis. As if it's flat and stationary?
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you, hey, bro.
So I'm assuming
let me level with you. I'll tell you what's going on.
Can I just say, and assuming in order to maintain a
now remember my scenario. He has no direction, right? He's flying in circles. He has no path. He has no destination. He has no. In my scenario, he's flying west-southwest. He's not aiming at anything. He's just going to get to a random clearing and land there. So he has no heading, right? He's just going generally west-southwest. He's not following any ground path, but he will be able to treat the Earth as stationary, just like every other pilot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't particularly matter. Like you're saying, like you're saying that they. Okay, so as you. I mean,
would it matter if he was let me ask you this: would it matter if he was 500 miles per hour out of sync with the Earth? Would that matter? He wouldn't be able to land safely, right? So it does matter.
I mean, I'm assuming that you're like I have to think a little bit more about this, but I think I'm.
Yeah, you would have to think a little bit more about it. You have to look into it. You have to go to ChatGPT and find their answers and get it to tell you that you're right or wrong. And all of these things. What are your other people? They'll tell you that it's atmospheric drag. They'll try to give you an equation for atmospheric drag, and they'll try to give you some kind of math, and they'll say, oh, well, if he doesn't have a heading, that makes no sense. No. Pilots have always just flown wherever they wanted to. If they have an emergency situation, they can fly wherever they need to get to safely. It has nothing to do with ground paths. It has nothing to do with destination. The Earth is always stationary when the pilot lands on it. Now, if it wasn't, that'd be great. You could prove the Earth is spinning. Just take a camera, put it outside the window, and show that the Earth is moving at a different speed eastward than your plane is. There you go. You proved your ball.
I mean,
Sean, what you don't realize is he asked this question to a CERN physicist, and he couldn't answer.
Again, an ill-posed question.
It's not an ill-posed question.
That doesn't mean anything to me. In the same way that I can't appeal to.
Well, here's what it means to you now. But if he's right, Shoal, hypothetically,
you have to acknowledge.
I'm not asking you to care. We're just proving that you don't want to know. No, because you don't want to know because you'd rather assume that we're wrong still, even though you don't have an answer.
I mean, that's also an appeal to authority even the authorities don't know. It's just in the negative. Like, I don't care what he just said. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, great. Well, you can figure it out on your own and come back with an answer, or try to answer it now. You don't have an answer now, and I'll tell you what, there is no answer to this. because the Earth is freaking stationary, bro.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up is because you can go on New Perspectives YouTube channel. He has the audio posted up there. Yeah, and you can listen to his answer. Okay, there's no dynamic way you can make this work. You can't even do it kinematically, quite honestly. But there's no way you can account for wind, momentum, or all these forces and get it to get another 500 miles an hour. It's impossible.
I mean, again, like, I'm not convinced, like, you know.
Of course you're not going to be convinced now. Of course, you want to, like, walk away and act like you were in a flat Earth group and they're all stupid and you must be smart still.
No.
Instead of thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if there's something to this. And I'm going to come back to this group.
I am thinking
I'm going to say, I figured out why that was an ill-formed question, or why all the assumptions I'd like to spit out now and tell everybody I'm assuming still. You can just take those with you, come back with your answers, and then you can have another conversation instead of trying to yell like you know and we don't. Okay? That's all.
Bro, calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
I'm very calm, bro.
Okay. I actually am thinking about the thing that you proposed. So I think you can calm down. I'm thinking about it. Okay.
I'm very calm, dude. I've done this many times. I'm just trying to get you to calm down and stop yelling over people, and I have to yell over you to get you to stop going, I know it must be ill-formed, and I know, I'm still on a globe, even though planes can't land.
Okay.
Hypothetically, if planes couldn't land, then it's not a globe, right?
What?
If planes couldn't land, right, because of the tangential gradient and the ground moving faster at the equator or wherever they fly to, if they're not eastwardly moving in perfect sync and there's no answer to that, then your globe is debunked, bro.
I mean, again, you're relying on. It's interesting now you're requiring, like, conservation of angular momentum and all these other kind of, like, physics, which I know that you shouldn't be denying. But, like, when I mentioned that earlier as
not denying any of it, I started with the conservation of momentum. I gave you that.
I know, and
that would dissipate as soon as you got in the air. The friction of the air would make your conservation of 500 mile per hour eastward tangential velocity. That would dissipate as soon as you got in the air. But you can keep all of it, bro. I'll just let you beg the question with that 500 miles per hour. But you got to double it by the time you get to the equator. You wouldn't have it, dude. You wouldn't have double.
Yeah, well, obviously, no. This is again why I said it's an ill-posed question, because I don't, a priori, it could just be you're asking where does that speed come from? It could just be from the fucking jet turbines on the plane, which is also, and that's
right.
Why my
so
point
then
is,
I'll tell you, go look into it.
I'm not trying to give you
a if it has to go backwards, how do the jet turbines make the plane go backwards if it's going against the spin? How is the jet turbines flying the plane forward to slow to a land facing westward when it needs to be going still backwards eastward at 1,000 miles an hour to keep in sync with the Earth? How is it flowing down to 0 miles an hour to land on a runway facing whichever direction and still moving the plane eastward at exactly 1,000 miles an hour so it can treat the Earth as stationary? Turbines are going to do that? What kind of turbines are you talking about?
Again, I'm assuming that I would have to know more about aviation in general, but I'm pretty sure, don't they have, the whole point is that they're trying to keep all of their equipment calibrated so that things do appear to them as stationary, so that they can, visually.
They don't try to do anything. It's just stationary. You don't have to try anything. They just fly as if it's stationary. They land as if it's stationary. The plane is made to fly over a stationary Earth and land on a stationary Earth. It's not made to go backwards. The pilot's not trying to do anything in accordance with any kind of rotation. The pilot thinks nothing about that. I've talked to many of them. Many people in here have. They just admit that they fly as if it's stationary. You will find that true.
And I'm pretty sure that's what they have, a whole bunch of tools on the dashboard that try to help them line up and so make sure that everything looks like it's as if things were stationary. Of course, that it isn't.
Oh yeah, they would need that, right? Like let's say that there was tools in the dashboard. They would need a tool that tells them how fast the Earth is spinning relative to their plane, so they can keep in sync eastward. But then if they're flying westward, the plane wouldn't be able to go faster eastward anyway. So it wouldn't even if there was a tool, which there isn't, you'll find out. There is no tool that tells them how fast the Earth is spinning.
Go.
Well, I mean, that's just a function of your coordinates, like and where you're like and how high you are up. I guess. I mean, it would be a function of your just coordinates in space relative to
What
the
would
Earth.
be a function? The Earth spin? No, the Earth spin has nothing to do with what they see in the
Well,
dashboard. I'll
it's the
tell you that.
geometry of a sphere. Yeah, again, it's just like
No, it's not on the dashboard. There's no sphere in the fucking cockpit.
If you knew latitude and longitude,
there's nothing spherical about it.
You would know. No, I mean that's the exact difference between the latitude.
The thing is, dude, this is a joyriding. This is a joyriding pilot. He has no aim. He has no destination. He has no ground path. He's just out for a ride. He's going to go in big circles all over. In fact, he's going to circle the area that he might land in just to make sure. He's going to circle it like maybe 20 times. Now you got to think about that. The plane needs to be going eastward as it's circling, right? As it's circling, it needs to go eastward that whole time, but it's only going forward at 100 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. As it's figuring out where he's going to land, there's no destination, no ground path, nothing. He's just finding the clearing and landing, and he'll be able to treat it as stationary because the spherical spinning Earth has nothing to do with flying at all. And you will find out I'm right.
I'm still thinking about. I mean, of course, you're just kind of like throwing a lot of stuff out there.
No, it's just one thing. There needs to be going twice as fast eastward. It's not a lot of stuff.
Chill.
Twice as fast eastward. It's just one thing. You have to figure that out.
Say one thing. I'm just saying, I'll think about this. If anyone else wants to hop in, I'm just kind of reflecting on it. I'm just kind of reflecting on this. This.
There you go. Good for you.
This, yeah. You can just but if anyone else wants to say anything, they can do that. I'm just
respect, bro. Respect. Go figure it out, and you'll find out I'm right, and you'll realize you were just proved that you do not live in a spinning ball. And don't worry about your friends, bro. You're smarter than them now for figuring this out and not just buying the mainstream fucking narrative. Do you have any other ballers in here have an answer to this? There should be tons of ballers coming to your aid here with the answer on how planes fucking land for a ball. I mean, if it's that simple, right? So a lot of flat earthers don't even get this yet, right? Because they're like, oh, if it's that simple, they could never have sold it. How if planes can't even land, then how the fuck did they convince everybody we're a freaking spinning ball? All right, looks like my work here is done. Have a good night, guys.
Today, Heathrow to JFK, headed west-southwest, cause there ain't no better way. Gonna find that old Coriolis, they say she's hidden in the winds, but that just can't be if we rotate east, tangential gradient. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis must be hidden in the winds, but the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. And we all know every pilot treats the Earth as motionless, so to think it must be moving is just insane, you must confess. But please don't get offended if this song makes too much sense. Just thank God that landing's easy with no tangential grade. Hidden in the winds, they said she'd just be hidden in the winds, But the earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been, and we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And the earth ain't moving faster with the further south we go. So thank God we won't be crashing when those wheels hit down below. Hidden in the winds, there ain't no Coriolis hidden in the winds. And thank God it's stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving with a tangential gradient. Yes, here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And their earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And thank God we won't be crashing when we touch down at the end. And thank the Lord, Earth is stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving. There's no tangential gradient.